Now I just need to get lucky. Add this to the list of things I never ever thought I'd be excited about in my life. Weeds, scrubby and tumbled down. Nearly everywhere you look. The barn, unkempt, untidy, a picture of disarray. The garden, unwatered, weeded over, forsaken. Pumpkin vines, dead. Hi there, yo folks. I'm Sean the Modern Yeoman. Welcome back to the Homestead. It's funny how just a few weeks of neglect on the homestead can cause everything to kind of tumble down. Things have gone uncared for, garden has gotten overgrown and unkempt, weeds have popped up all over the place. The only thing I've really kept up with for the past few weeks is the chickens. Now, as many of you know, I've actually been working a full-time job for the past few weeks during the evening from around 4 in the afternoon to midnight 30, something like that. It wasn't nearly as easy as I thought it would be to keep up with the homestead. Most of my time during the days that I had here on the homestead was either sleeping or taking care of the chickens. It really put me out. It was a manual labor job. And suffice it to say, I could not give nearly the amount of attention that I could to the homestead that I wanted to. But as many of you also know, I've been fortunate enough to actually return to homesteading full time. Holly and I are going to do a video here in the next few weeks explaining how we kind of work things out. I'm really excited to kind of go over with you guys what our situation is and how we're able to do this and how we're actually able to maintain a situation where I'm working on the homestead full time. All of that being said, I've got a lot of work in front of me. I'm a little bit behind, as you could see from the intro of today's episode. There's a lot for me to do to just get things down to a base level of maintenance. I got a lot of cleaning, I got a lot of weed whipping, I got a lot of garden maintenance that I need to do. Like I said, the chickens I've kept up with, but I still need a lot of cleaning in their pens, in their runs, stuff like that. I've got my work cut out for me. I'm very thankful that I can return to this. I love doing this. I'd much rather be outside working on the homestead than indoors doing a manual labor job down the road. After giving it some thought, I think I'm going to continue with the formats that I've been using these past few weeks. The Work With Me Wednesday videos, where there's very little editing and no music, and it's just me and you hanging out, working. Sometimes Holly's helping, sometimes my dad's helping, and a little bit of chatting as we do it. You get to hang out with us as we work and talk a little bit. The full kind of normal Modern Yeoman episodes with the music and the heavier production, those are going to continue on Sundays. Today is another one of the Work With Me Wednesday videos, and I think what I'd like to do today is get Lucky, the non-meat chicken that was included with our batch of meat chicken chicks a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. She's getting very small compared to the rest of those meat birds. They're growing a lot quicker than she is. So I think what I'm gonna do is move her over to her own little pen in with the adult chickens over here. I might also get some cover crop seeds in the ground for the 3 big raised beds that are just kind of sitting vacant right now. I've got a mixture of buckwheat and field peas that I'd like to get into the ground very soon. So I may sow those today as well as take care of Lucky the chicken. So if you want to hang out with me today and root me on from the comfort of wherever you're sitting, I'd invite you to do so for the next few minutes. Let's get to it. Now, as many of you know, along with the 27 meat chickens, the Murray's Big Red broilers that I ordered about 3 weeks ago and that came in as chicks, they also sent me a surprise chicken, which is not a meat broiler. It was just a random laying bird, which we dubbed Lucky, since she won't be harvested along with these meat chickens in about the middle of November. She'll be integrated in with the laying flock, provided she's not a rooster, in which case I don't know what we're going to do. But the thing about Lucky is that, as you'll notice, she's the same age as these chickens are, roughly 3 weeks, but because she's not a meat chicken, she's like half the size of them. And so it's getting to the point now where she's having a tough time eating while the rest of them are at the feed trough. She kind of has to wait for the scraps, and she's getting crushed underneath the weight of all of them and shoved around and pushed aside. So I kind of figured it might be time to move her off on her own, because I don't know how much longer she can survive in with these big meat chickens on her own. Now, the medium-sized tractor is still being used for the teenage laying crew. I'd say these guys are what, month and a half now, 2 months old? There's so many chickens, 50 plus chickens on the homestead, that I'm beginning to lose track of how old everyone is and where everyone is at in terms of their progression and their age. Anyways, these teenage chickens are going to be in here for maybe another month or so before I release them among the main laying crew. So what that means is that this tractor is taken up and I can't put the baby Lucky chicken in here. So what I think I'm going to do is actually grab the small chicken tractor and have that set up right over here along with that warming brooder panel, and have her hang out here for the next month or so until those chickens graduate from the medium-sized chicken tractor, and then move her into there and then work her into the main crew. So I've just kind of got a circular, or I've kind of got a cycle that I'm going through with 3 generations of chickens. All right, Lucky's new little hutch is all set up. Now I just need to get Lucky. Let's see if I can. There she is. All right, Lucky. Let's go. You ready? That wasn't hard at all. Okay. All right, let's go. It's okay. You're gonna get your own pad to spread out on. All right, let's go. All right, there's your water. And there's your heat. What do you think? Get used to it. You get your own pad now. Next up, add this to the list of things I never ever thought I'd be excited about in my life. Buckwheat. Buckwheat and field peas, to be specific. I'm going to be using these as a cover crop in my garden beds, the 3 big, long garden beds that are currently unoccupied. And I want to just get the soil busy. I want to have something work in the soil. I want to kind of stay away from, I want to get weeds under control. And I figured if I plant a cover crop of buckwheat and field peas, I might be able to do that. It might be too late in the season. I don't know. I mean, it's early September. But the goal is for these things to die out before the end of winter anyways. So I'm just going to mix them all in. There's no real rhyme or reason to this. And I'm going to sow them together on the beds. And we're going to see what happens. This is going to be another experiment, essentially. Almost look like little chocolate chips. These little buckwheat seeds, see? No smell. Seems like a good cover crop mix to me. Let's go sow them. And before I get started with the cover crops, I'd like to send a special thank you to my friends Jay and Cheryl of Celtic Roots Farm, who sent along this gate that I'm going to be putting here around the garden fence, or on the garden fence that currently surrounds the garden. I'm actually going to be redoing the garden fence. I'm probably going to be taking off a lot of these logs and trimming stuff up, and it's going to take on a little bit of a bigger, different shape. And so this gate is going to be perfect for me getting in and out without falling as I try to step over it, which I'm prone to do. Those of you who've watched the channel know me and these Premier One fences don't quite get along that easily. So that was super thoughtful and kind of Jay and Cheryl to send this along, and I cannot wait to put this on the front of the garden fence. Anyways, let's get to this. The first thing I want to do is break up the soil a little bit in these beds with this aerator. I didn't quite know what this thing was for when we first moved in. It was sitting in one of the sheds. But then after doing a little bit of research, I found out that it's actually not some sort of medieval torture device, and actually a way to break up the soil and aerate the soil. So this is actually a perfect application for what I'm about to do, sowing these seeds, break up the soil a little bit. So let me get started with that. Now comes the fun part. At this point, I'm just gonna rake these in a little bit. There's so much, and the compost is so thick here that all I think I need to do is just kind of rake them in just a little bit. They don't want to be too deep. And then after I rake them in, give them a nice deep watering and see what nature does. These past few weeks were really challenging, but in a way I'm very glad that I experienced all that time away from the homestead. I think it showed me how important this land is to me, how important the chickens are to me, how important the crops are, the garden, the things that I'm growing, how important the land is to me. I've got a lot of work in front of me to kind of catch up, just mowing and weed whipping and working on the garden and fixing up the chicken runs. But I'll be honest with you, I can't wait. I love it. A full day spent just working out here on the homestead, working with the animals, working in the garden is one of my favorite things in the world. We got a lot of big things in front of us: pigs, the tractor, harvesting the meat chickens. There's a couple other fun things in the works that we'll get to. But all in all, the very end of the day, when I'm standing here in front of this camera talking to you guys, I can say that I love doing this, and it's hard work, but it's the type of hard work that I think I was meant to be doing. Thanks for hanging with me even through my absence in the last episode. I'll be back again this Sunday with a normal Modern Yeoman. It's been 100 episodes and a year now that I've been doing this, and I've got over 3,000 subscribers, and sometimes it just blows my mind, the type of engagement that I've had with you guys, the type of encouragement that I've gotten from you guys, the type of friendships that I've made. If I'm really honest, I've made a lot of friendships with all of you guys. So, thank you for a year, probably one of the best years of my life. Thank you for that. And here's to many more. Anyways, enough waxing philosophical. Until next time, remember, as always, slowly, slowly.